This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes, for your half-assed entertainment news with no bullshit, with our hosts, Summer Helene and Bear Fiorda, only on Talk 4 Media.
Do you have a desire to be famous? Do you want hordes of people screaming your name? Then ask your therapist if Hollywood's right for you. Hollywood, where you can work your entire first year as an unpaid intern. I'm going to just go into the mandatory minimum overtime. Like, it can be a total shit show, but the truth is, it's kind of fun.
And that overtime's unpaid.
Usually. G'day. I'm your host, Summer Helene, and we are on with my co-host, the baddest bear in the cage, who's not in the cage right now because he hurt his ankle, Bear Fiorda.
Yeah, unfortunately. But it's okay. We're going to make a comeback. 2024, no ankle injuries.
We can call you Limpy Bear.
Limpy Bear?
Yeah.
That has a different connotation in some circumstances.
I
don't really want to be called Limp Bear. Just saying.
I'm looking at our show notes and I'm like adding Limpy Bear to the show notes.
And Limpy Bear.
I think it's perfect.
No, but speaking of things that
speaking of limp, we've got Fresh and Fit.
Wait, well, you want to explain what Fresh and Fit is?
Okay, so you can explain that. This is your people.
These are not my people. They don't represent me. I don't represent them at all. Fresh and Fit is a podcast out there, and they specialize in They talk about relationships from what they call the red pill perspective, and oftentimes they may come across more like incels, but I digress.
Hang on. So what red pill is the like 2020 version of the pickup artists that were popular in the 2010s. It's all crap. Keep going.
Yeah, pretty much. And the thing they talk about is really how to get a girl and how to maintain a relationship with one. And it often ends up being something along the lines of women have to fear you to respect you. So make sure she thinks you're going to hit her in the face if she steps out of line or upsets you. That's a common thing they bring up on that show that they frequently believe.
I thought they were talking about tossing salad. That was the whole.
That too. So in conjunction with that, there's a big thing online right now where the host of that show, Fresh and Fit, or at least one of the hosts, is.
I think that's Fresh.
Do they have
Myron?
Myron is his name. At first, I thought you were saying their individual names are Fresh and Fit. No,
it's Myron.
Myron's one of the hosts, and he's been recently caught. It shouldn't be scandalous, but he was just, basically touching up and kissing other dudes, sometimes naked. And he's trying to push that. It's not gay or homosexual.
It's bonding.
It's bonding with his friends because he was in the military, and that's what military men do. Until
a
lot of veterans posted and talked about how that's not what we do in the military.
They put their penises inside of each other as a bonding experience.
To be fair, we don't have any evidence that is the case.
Except for the men that said that he has put his penis in them.
We just have evidence that he was naked cuddling with one of them in bed.
Fair enough. So then there's this other group that's like anti-red pill, which is ABBA and Preach. I personally really like ABBA and
these
Preach.
Guys, yeah. They're another big, they don't do podcasts. They just have that YouTube channel.
Yeah. And so ABBA and Preach. And so then as some kind of like punishment, Myron from Fresh and Fit said he was going to toss ABBA and Preach's salad.
Right, because they started calling them out for all their nonsense.
So Fresh and Fit wanted to fight them.
And they're calling them out for asserting that. They called him out for asserting that Myron is homosexual, given the photos, and that he's just in denial. And so the first thing Myron says is, well, I'll toss his salad.
Yeah, and the look on Sneako's face was bomb. Sneako's just like, my God.
Yeah, he sat there in he looked distressed, honestly, like he needed help.
Sneako
he needed an adult in that situation.
Yeah, he needed an adult. I need an adult. So today we're trying different things before Christmas. I'm going to have some milk, but we have to, if we're going to milk, and by the way, Lactaid, you should sponsor us. Because I'm not naming names, but somebody has a problem with milk.
Can't even see the bottle.
It's all right, it counts. Somebody has a problem with milk.
Well, yes, I am unfortunately lactose intolerant. So anytime I have milk, I have to take one of these.
Except it doesn't stop him from drinking milk or eating ice cream.
Well, I get Lactaid brand. Speaking of which, sponsor me again.
That's why I said they should sponsor you.
Yeah, they'll get a lot of advertising
on your fights.
Wait, what's that thing influencers say? You get a lot of publicity. Exposure. That's what it is. A lot of exposure.
You just want the milk. Take your Lactaid pill.
Is it bad to take a Lactaid pill with actual milk?
No, babe.
Is it counterproductive?
No, that's what it's for.
You don't take it like water beforehand?
No, you take it with the milk.
Please? I've waited
How
so
have I
long.
turned into the parent?
I've
of this
been
show?
waiting for so
So
long.
we're trying. So we have a Christmas cracker that we're going to try. That's from my country. They're
Honestly,
very, very
when
popular.
she said we're bringing Christmas crackers, I genuinely thought she was bringing crackers to eat.
So we tried a couple of different cookies, different Christmas cookies that we're going to try. So we're going to try, there's a wedding one. There are these little bell-shaped ones. And then there are these little meringue ones. So we're going to try this. This is
It's okay.
it's meringue. I miss pavlova. That's what we ate in Australia.
Certainly not 5 stars. I wouldn't give it a Michelin thingy. Not bad. If you give it to a bunch of kids, they won't know the difference. So hey, you can survive on that. You can do that.
This one's straight meringue.
That's good because it's the nuts I actually don't really like. What's
It's
in that?
pavlova with nuts.
That's where people just watch the show, cut it right there, and they crop that part out.
Pavlova with nuts?
No, I love it with nuts.
Yep. Myron may be homosexual, but you are so gay.
Which is funny.
It's
We don't.
the little bell.
We were just talking about this last night. How some creators have kind of like they're from the millennial era, and so they don't quite catch up with how PC everything's gotten, and so they say things like, "Oh, well, that's gay," and everyone's like,
Like
"That's
me.
super offensive." It's like,
Yeah.
well, hold on. When I was a kid, this just meant like that was dumb.
I don't think you get a pass for when something was like, I was a kid. You can finish my cookie. I didn't like it. They're just plain butter cookies. Nothing special. I haven't found a good Christmas cookie. Does anyone know any good Christmas cookies? Would you put it on our social media? If you do, and if you do, you can win a ride at Off-Road Rentals in Palm Springs, California.
That is the easiest giveaway we ever did.
I want a good Christmas
Just
cookie.
write us a good Christmas cookie. Write us a Christmas cookie you like, actually. That's really what it's going to come down to.
Because I don't like any of those.
But speaking of holiday stuff, I didn't have a good segue, so I just threw that one out there.
We were talking about Myron.
Does he do anything?
And then Matt Rife is back in trouble. It's funny. I don't find him that funny.
Matt Rife.
I love his crowd work. I love his crowd work, but
so I thought he was funnier in his first special for sure. I don't think there's anything wrong with the second special in the sense that he's allowed to say what he wants to say as far as being a comedian. If I don't like his jokes, I can just not listen to him. That's the end of the discussion. I don't have to do anything more than that. If I don't like something, folks, I'm not going to watch it. Too many people hate watch things and they get mad at the creator because they hate watch their stuff. Like I had some dude write me this morning for all my anti-red pill.
Of the cookies.
For all my anti-red pill content that I put up on my Instagram. And he's like, and he called me like a beta cut. Am I allowed to say faggot?
You can.
He called me a beta cut faggot. And so I was like, that's kind of harsh. So I wrote him like, hey, clearly something I did upset you. Why are you hurt? And he wrote back, like, I'm not hurt. You just, you talk about how adopting kids from another man is manly and responsible if you're with the woman. That just makes you a cuck. And I'm like, well, can you elaborate? I explained my position. Like, hey, I want to know why you think like this. But literally, I get messages every day now of people who just hate watch my videos and then yell at me about it. Like, don't watch it then. Actually, that said, he's the kind of person I do want to reach out to. I do want that kind of person to watch my videos. So
Why?
I hope, because hopefully I can change his mind one day. Hopefully I can help him realize that Myron's not some dude to follow. Sneako's not a great person to take advice from.
Yeah, they're really into the whole Andrew Tate thing. I'm like, you're taking advice from a balding middle-aged man that like runs hookers.
And he's actually abandoned the red pill stuff. He has denounced it so hard recently.
Yeah, he's trying to get his channels back up and stuff. He needs money. He's in jail. Like he has debts to pay. He went to prison. So I renounce it too. He needs to make the news. He needs to get the clicks. He needs to do all of that. And so Sneeko, of course, is denouncing the red pill stuff.
He also is doing that too. He's backing out of it completely.
Because Andrew Tate's doing it.
But the reality is this whole movement's just gone to shit. Absolutely.
Also, I'd like to remind everyone, every time we use bad language on the show, we give money to the Boys and Girls Club of America, the Humane Society of America, and Free MMA. We swear because we can.
Fuck yeah. Well, I just mean that it was always a terrible movement, always a terrible concept. Teaching young men how to be men is great on paper until it's like, hey, let's teach them that women need to fear you physically if they don't want to listen to you, and they need to dress how you want to dress them, and they can't have abortions if you want the baby, and rape should be legal in certain circumstances. It's the most ridiculous shit. Like, that's not. You know why they say it though? They say that because it entices men who feel rejected by society.
Bullshit.
That's what it is. No, it is
bullshit. Hear me out.
But
no, they say it for money.
Yes,
So
they say it for money, but that's because those guys are willing to pay.
Yes, but you have to look at it from this standpoint, right?
Okay. I'm adjusting my
It's
ice
like
pack.
It's hot. He's not wearing pants.
I am wearing pants. They're shorts. I'm sorry, not pants. I'm wearing shorts.
Okay, so you look at the back in the day, the what were they called?
Are we talking like 50s family style?
No. Like
nuclear families. They called them that.
You are so far off of what I am talking about.
Well, what are you trying to say then?
I'm talking about the guys back, the pickup artists.
Oh, this pickup artist, 2010 era kind of thing.
So pickup artists back in the day, they didn't give you advice that was good enough to keep you picking up chicks because then you wouldn't come back to them. It's like anything else. It's like Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers will sell you just to lose a little bit, so you are relying on them for the rest of your life. Pickup artists are the same, and so are these red pill guys. Yeah, they don't want you to get better. It's like that chick, just pearly things.
Right.
She does all of that. And she's like, I watched what these guys really want. No, you dumb chick. You didn't. You watched what was sold to these dudes. And like, by her standard, you should be with her.
I'm sorry. I don't want to be with her at all.
I understand that bit. But you don't want a career woman, driven women. That's unappealing. Actually, you know what? Let's find out if that's unappealing. I would like very much to welcome Andrew to the show. G'day, Andrew.
Happy holidays.
So everyone, this is Andrew Smith, and tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about me. Sure. I think the reason I'm here, is the most appealing, but we'll start a little bit earlier. Former MMA fighter, former strip club employee, former marketing director of the seedy underbelly of Las Vegas. Born and raised Vegas. I swear to God, I had a nice, good boy upbringing too. Just all kind of went south in that midpoint, and then I started writing, and then I think once a little bit of that creative flair hit me, we went into full script writing mode, and now I'm doing that. So I went from strip club employee to somehow working for Uncle Dana over at UFC, and all the craziness in between. So I don't know how much time you have in the show, but we could really use it all up on my past.
But we called you in because we have a very specific question right now.
Sure.
You're familiar with like the red pill content and all the pickup artists and blah, blah, blah. You've spent all your time around these women. You've spent all your time around these guys. You've spent all your time around these people. For the love of God, do you think these guys have like that? What do you think of these guys that are really into like the Andrew Tates, the pickup artists? Do you think any of that stuff works?
I think you probably have some pretty deep-seated trauma in those people's past. I went from a World of Warcraft dork to the manager of a strip club, and I got more ass than any of those guys ever could imagine in their whole lives. So it doesn't take, what they call riz or clout or anything like that. You just have to be able to talk to someone like a normal human being, even though they're doing non-normal human being jobs like in a strip club. And you can take that knowledge, especially learning how, Bear, with learning how to fight, you get a different type of confidence that doesn't mask itself as arrogance. And once you have that, it never goes away. You can carry it into the rest of your life. You can use it for everything. But at the same time, I think women see right through this. Women you would actually want to be around see through that shit pretty quick. They're going to see through an Andrew Tate monologue or a Jordan Peterson anecdote, trope, and move right along. So you're getting the riffraff out with the quantity, but you're saving quality for us normal human beings that can enjoy.
What do you think of the what is the adage? Men do not want a woman that can earn her own money or have a university degree or any of that. What they want is a woman that is 19, a 19-year-old virgin with no education or money.
Sounds like a really bad time in bed.
Sounds like I'm about to lose a lot of money on that.
Yeah, but like women like that aren't worth like have your net worth. And most guys are looking for a relationship that's going to withstand the test of time, and that's not it. It sounds like you're talking about like boys with confidence issues that can't truly get a woman for a woman. They want something to control and something like that. And there's a lot of those tropes in the first episode of my script.
That was,
Really?
yes.
Okay. I like that, actually.
There are. That was hence the segue. One of so a lot of this actually aligns very much with what's going on. He's dealt with a lot of good guys and bad guys and the mess in between. So for everyone out there, we right now are shopping Andrew's script. We've had a lot. I can't even tell you who we're talking to. It's been wonderful. But the most interesting thing about his life is how he ended up where he did. Now, you're over at the UFC right now.
Mhm.
You came, like you said, from World of Warcraft. Can you tell everyone kind of how you bridged and landed there? Because that is a hell of a jump. Like, and not that nothing wrong with World of Warcraft. I love gaming, but
Well, I think in this town, especially Las Vegas, it's all about who you know. And I had these high school relationships with people that just fell into these fantastical worlds. And I went from working in public relations and marketing and being very, very successful and pioneering a lot of digital marketing stuff before you said digital marketing, people's eyes were crossed.
yeah.
So I ended up heading that and got an invite from an old friend to go to this strip club that his dad gave him. And once I
Oh,
went
that
in,
his dad gave him a strip club.
yeah, and then I kind of went in there and explained sort of what I do to a half drunk psychopath, and he loved it so much that he called my boss from his phone declaring that I had quit, and that I was now worth double my net worth just to go work for him. And the decision was kind of made for me, and off I went. Uh,
It sounds like you were kidnapped by the mob. Like, I'm just saying.
I mean, I walked into it thinking something else was going. I mean, I expected to be there during the day and do office hour type things, and those just kind of vanished immediately
Yeah.
as soon as you see the glitz and you take a fish totally out of water and put him to an environment where you know it's every single vice in the world at once and it's all accepted.
Damn.
It's Las Vegas.
It's a strip club in Las Vegas. I
Mhm.
mean, it's compounding interest on greed and vice and wrath, and everything that Dante wrote about is right there.
Could you take me through like day one? What was it like? What was your first vibe and experience when you got to this place?
Sure. Day one was very much I guess I work here now, and having to explain to employees and managers and dancers and bartenders who I am and what I did. And they all had this misconception that I was just some sort of like club promoter or, handing out cards on the strip, like those people that used to slap the cards right in front of you as you
Yeah.
were walking down. Uh, but it was very much not that. It was very much taking a D-list seedy nudie bar and making it a world class place, and then relatively unknown to the highest rated club in town.
And you
And
did do that.
and
Mhm.
we did do that. Yeah, we sure did. We did that through a lot of hard work and buy-in, and me just refusing to accept that I am what a lot of the employees thought I was. And then eventually things like the doorman talking so much shit that I challenged him to a fight in the cage in the gym behind the club and won that fight and earning respect that way. So some of them needed the respect to be earned with fists. Some of them needed to see how much money was now starting to roll in. So their wallets got fatter, so they were willing to tolerate the nerd who had, just bought his first tailored suit. And then at the end of it, I didn't even recognize myself. There was it became, a tailored suit every day of the week, taking one day off, multiple vices and issues from every stripper on the planet to every drug you could think of. I mean, I've been down every road.
I was just thinking that's incredible. So that was actually a good way to kind of progress the story here as far as our show goes. You said you got in a fight, but you invited the doorman in to fight you. Were you training at that time by then? Like, did you have the confidence to fight him, or are you just sick of his shit? Like, how did it go down?
So I had been training for a while. So they had a policy that you had to learn how to fight if you wanted to work the door. It was just sort of a inane policy that forced people to go to the gym. We had a gym in the back of the club with
Yeah,
a cage in it and everything.
sure.
And eventually this other doorman just kept saying how there's no way I could take anybody there. I couldn't protect anybody, couldn't protect the girls, couldn't protect myself. If something were to go down, I'm the last person to be available. So eventually, they were doing like a police training in the gym, and I threw gloves at him, some 12 ouncers, and I said, let's see who's going to protect who. And we had a 2-round fight that he didn't last through the second round, and that was that. And it was so great for my pride, but also so terrible for uh, taking someone that knew little to nothing about fighting and then throwing him against basically into a street fight with some real training and to see what someone with like 1 or 2 years of MMA experience can do to just a big guy. Like I'm not a very big imposing person. I'm six
You're
foot
very
180
tall.
and but this was a giant doorman of a strip club.
Gotcha.
Like
Yep.
So
size, I
It was
get it.
like
Size is
he's like
important, but a
he's
year or
I
two
like that.
of
You're
MMA training. I'm not trying to cut you off. I'm stuck on that point because there's a huge difference between someone who trains for 6 months versus a guy who doesn't know anything. Sometimes the
sure.
first week makes a huge difference, but people are fighting, competing like professionally sometimes after a year or 2 years. That's pro level if you have a good team with you.
Mhm.
So that's
Sure.
insane that guy was just like
The-
spouting off whatever he was.
to
Like,
you, yeah.
Comes from
very
that insecurity. We talk about these red pill people. They're just so insecure that they have to lash out and challenge when they have no real reason to do so. And, I had been doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu then for about 2 years, 1 day off a week. And that makes you a monster really fast.
oh my
And
god, yeah.
there's a scene in the first episode where one of the bouncers gets into a fight in a VIP room. It's a completely true story. And me knowing nothing day 1 or 2 on the job, had to jump in and do something. So you can read all about that day one experience right there.
It's nuts.
Well, everyone's going to be able to watch it coming up.
Oh my god.
So, for you, how did you go from there? You went from there to the MGM.
Yeah. So after the birth of my son, I decided.
Now,
Uh,
what did the birth of your son change? Why did you leave the strip club? I know the story, but I just hit myself with a little fuzzy ball. Um, I like everyone. I just took such a serious subject and hit myself in the face with fuzzy ball.
right. I
Right.
mean,
So the film actually, or the show actually starts here. It begins at the end, so to speak.
mm.
But for you, why did you leave this? Are you still eating the Christmas cookies?
Ask your question.
How did I get from there to there? Sure. I
I
decided
need my
that.
producer to come take these cookies. Like, stop shoving the cookies in your mouth.
Good job, Bear. Eat away.
Like,
Um, I think it didn't change anything initially. I was in denial that I could do both and live both lives and very much be Bruce Wayne and Batman at the same time. And I just couldn't. And there was a day that is very vividly described as probably the worst day of my life. And realizing after looking in the mirror, it's him or it's this. And those are my two choices: were to live a life about somebody else for once after 8 years of living it just for myself and selfishly and stripping away all of my humanity to be this guy that I thought I wanted to be so badly. And now, I'd been given this gift kind of out of nowhere, out of left field, and then I had to do it all by myself. And, I get emotional just thinking about it. But, there was a day there where I just looked at him and I looked at me and I was just like, nah, my time's over. It's his time now.
That's really that's a good dad right there.
that's a good
Absolutely.
man right there.
Truly.
You talk about
And
all this red pill stuff and the how to be a man and all of that. That is hell. It's putting your child before you. It's
Mhm.
putting people before you. That is incredible. And to come from that life and to step back and to go, no, I'm not raising my son in this craziness. Because I mean, no offense to the strip club owner, but he obviously raised his son in that craziness. And look how he turns out. He pulled you into it. It's a whole different life.
yeah,
And
and
you
I
wanna
pulled multiple friends into it too. Like I wasn't absolved of any blame. I mean, the character is not some hero the whole time. There's a depth that people can go to, even if you had a good upbringing, even if you were just some sort of like nice gamer dork, and happy with your normal life and your normal girlfriend and your normal everything, and then thrown into this. But when you pull yourself out of that world, you have to go back to like the concrete jungle or MGM or something like that and get a high profile job, but deal with normal people in a normal way. There was a definite culling of taking a wild animal and putting him back in a cage, and I went through that for quite a bit at MGM before landing at UFC.
How did you now at MGM? What did you were you marketing at MGM?
Yep, yep. I did what they call partner marketing, so deal with a
Yeah.
lot of digital marketing. Ended up being the head of data intelligence and working with numbers and staying away from humans as much as I could because I knew what they were capable of. And every after COVID, I just said, listen, I have other aspirations. Like I want a job that I'm whistling all the way into. I want to pursue this script that is true to life, that I think a story that needs to be told, and I'm doing both of those things now. A friend of mine, and I know a friend of the show is Joe Stevenson,
Mhm.
told me about this job that was working at UFC headquarters. Dana had just purchased a liquor brand called Howler Head, which I'm proudly repping right here, and uh,
Oh,
and it
Nice.
was to be the head of digital marketing and social media for that brand. And I said, you know what, screw it. MGM's been great to me. I'm very thankful, but it's time to do a little bit more for myself now. It's not just 9 to 5 and being with the kiddo. It's he's grown up now where I can do that too.
Absolutely.
well, I think it's
Was
also a good environment. When you look at MMA, it's very different than, say, a strip club. You're talking about a very disciplined environment. That is a great environment for a child to be around. I love the picture actually I saw of your son in the championship gloves. I thought that was the
that's
coolest thing in
awesome.
the world.
Yeah, he was wearing Alexander Volkanovski's championship gloves. His little fingers don't even come out.
Yeah.
The end of a
It
4
was,
ounce glove.
yeah, it
We were
was
we
so
were
cute.
just there and had lunch, and Dana got him some Christmas presents this week. And it's I find fighters, and I think most fighters corroborate, to be the most gentle, like warming, inclusive type of people. There are outliers, right? You have your Colby Covingtons and stuff like that are just unhinged, but
Yeah, well,
Have
I
you
I
have you
still
ever?
think it's a shtick.
it could
I
be a
still
shtick.
think
It
it's a
could,
shtick. He's
but
fully
that
leaning into
arena
red
was
pill MAGA crazy shit.
Yeah.
And I'm from Australia. I don't care if you're a Democrat, I don't care if you're a Republican. I give a shit if you're crazy. I don't care which side you're on. And he's leaned into crazy.
Yeah, but in general, those fighters are welcoming because everyone know what everyone else is capable of, and they have all been in a fight, and so there's no reason to do that if you're not A, getting paid for it,
Yeah.
and B, you're not willing to say I'm going to go to the hospital for this, because a lot of them
Mhm.
do. And in the club, we put a lot of people in the hospital.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people with a little alcohol that think they can take the same bouncer I challenged to a fight, and it never ends up good for those people. Never, not once. They're batting zero. Uh, you
I
know,
don't think people realize what fighting actually
Oh
takes
man.
out of someone. Like we
right?
got a lot of tweets. A friend of the show is Sam Alvey. He just had a fight over at
I like
Karate
Sam a
Combat
lot.
and he won. Yeah, Sam's wonderful. And he went directly from winning his fight to the hospital because he busted his hand round one.
Hmm.
Like that was it. He had to go get some stitches, get his, get the bleeding stopped, get the hand put back. And that's the winner. Like
Right.
you guys, no offense, Beb, your job sucks.
No, I like what I
He
do.
chose the smart part. Andrew chose the smart part of MMA. I'm just saying.
I
Mm.
got into it real late, and my very first fight ever, I got choked out completely. And I remember coming to with the ref over me, and he's like, "Do you know where you are?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you know what your name is?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay, what is it?" Like he didn't quite believe me, and I was like, "Oh my god, I've been out." And he's like, "Yeah, you've been out."
Oh
Oh,
no.
how
And
long were you out?
like 30 seconds, which is a long
Oh my.
That's a long fucking
So
time to be
yeah.
unconscious,
yeah,
dude.
usually for anyone out there, when someone gets knocked out, especially if you're talking about like a blood choke or something like that, you're talking about like a 5 second window. It can even be something as simple as just like a flash, meaning you're
Yeah.
out for a second. It still gets cold at that point. Like it can just be a second. When you're talking about being out for
Like
30
30
seconds,
seconds.
like
Yeah.
that
Like
is
they're holding your legs up and
concerning.
everything, so trying to make
Yeah.
sure the blood
Yeah.
stays. But I remember my fingertips and my toes were so numb, and it's just like a thought I can't get out of my head. And then foolishly, I'm like, okay, when's my next one? Like,
Oh,
let's get back in there because I don't know. It wasn't even pride. It was just it was enjoyable. It was it was man versus man, but they know you're coming. It's not like the club where I know I've got 8 more guys that are about to help me. It's just me and him, and we're both we're both aware that this is a fight, and that there's something to that very primal and visceral.
so you're crazy.
I'm crazy a little bit.
Yeah, like that's all I'm getting at. So you're nuts. Also explains why you're friends with Joe. I'm just saying. Um, a lot has been explained in this conversation.
Well, and I think maybe the club did that.
A little bit.
Maybe I was just a normal, and then the wires got crossed, or I
I
forced
got
them to cross, and there it
I
is.
gotta say, like, I'm gonna say this. My brother loved video games. His favorites when we were little were like Prince of Persia. He'd play Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat. He loved the RPGs. I did
Hmm.
too. I think a lot of people that grow up on those fighting games, like Bear, like you, like my brother, you guys grow up with a different mindset because you play these combat games, because you play these adventure games, because you have such a set sense. Remember, it taps into that primal part of you. Go fight, rescue the woman. What's your prize? It's the
Hero
woman.
complex for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. But even at the end of Mario, like, what's your prize? Princess Peach. Like, it doesn't matter what game it is, it's tapping into that primal instinct. I
Mhm.
think it was long before the club. I think those games, especially when you look at World of Warcraft, it's tapping into the hero, tapping into the villain, and it's hitting that dopamine again and again and again.
Yeah, totally. I couldn't agree more because it's something where even though all that stuff went away, like the second I stepped in, like I never went back to it. It's just in my past. There's always that heroism that people have, and I'm not saying men have it, but men in the club
Oh,
environment
yeah.
certainly do. Like, oh, this dancer is getting pushed around by some customer. It's time to be a hero. Like that's the one time you can feel good about yourself in a place where everything is bad all the time, but it's just in really nice lighting and covered with glitter and makeup. You know what I mean?
I think he just described Hollywood.
I love that. I love
Just
that so
described
much.
Hollywood. It was like he's like, so I came from the strip clubs, and I got myself out of it. I went through MGM. I got to a really disciplined place like the UFC. Now I'm going to Hollywood. I'm like, so you're going back to the strip club on a bigger scale? Gotcha. I'm just saying.
You know,
We shall
speaking of
see.
the UFC, I think a little bit left field here, but I'm curious. I'm sure that other people out there are curious too. What is it like to work for, as you called him, Uncle Dana?
Oh, well, I think that being that it's a brand he owns, that he has a direct hand in, that uh that he cares deeply about, I get to see the good stuff, right? I get to see the let's make it work for everyone, no man left behind, leadership through example, don't tell anyone to do anything you're not willing to do yourself. It's a lot of those like strong like tropes from everyone there, from leadership all the way down to the coordinator level, and it's like the rising tide rises all ships is totally true there, at least in my experience. I think everyone I've worked with, even crossed to like the UFC socials, and big shout out to Eric E over there. He's an incredible guy, and hard, just a bunch of hard workers that even if you're work from home, you're working your butt off. Even if you're you need a little slack time, someone else is going to pick it up. You pick it up when someone else is slacking off. So it's not really like a military feel to it, but more like a band of brothers, although that gives a military connotation. But there's a fellowship, and everyone wants to win. You know,
I like that
I
you just
like
went
that
from
very much.
military to Lord of the Rings. I'm just saying.
oh, band of brothers. I was going another military route.
Yeah.
It's too many tropes.
I like that. But when you're in that environment, I think you get a good product because everybody cares about the product.
Mhm, exactly.
Everybody cares about the product. And that
And
makes
they're into things like nitro cross now, like SLS skateboarding, and like you see like the product getting bigger, and and everything that the man touches is just successful, and it's very inspiring to be around someone that is just
I
hits a
think
home run every at bat.
when you have the network he has, he's very clever. And it's something I watch with Dana White myself. He blew one brand up. He put the work in to blow that one brand up. Then he leaned the next one on the first. And again and again and again and again. So what you have is for any brand of his to collapse, the entire UFC would have to collapse. He's very strategically placed things. And even on his social media, he has that built-in market to market to. He's absolutely a genius. But I think what he's done, and it's something I aspire to do, is he's really, really good at putting the right people in the right places. From his fighters, putting Conor McGregor front and center as the UFC grew, to hiring the right people like you and putting the right people in the right places. And that is such an underrated skill. He's a good talker, he's inspiring, and that is necessary for the head of a company. But a good talker can also, land you in jail, like that chick from the from the whole blood. Look, we'll tell you if you have cancer, Thanos or whatever it was called.
Lord.
Yeah, thing. Like good talk is great, but he has what's behind it. He puts the work in, and he puts the right people in the right places, and that is the most underrated skill. It's something, when I work with producers, if I get a good producer, he puts the right people in. If I don't, so it's very, very
it goes south fast.
Everything goes south fast. So I lean on the producers that I know and trust. And
yeah, I mean, if you were going to pitch Power Slap to someone 5 years ago, they would laugh you out of the building.
Yep.
But he's made giant men slapping the crap out of each other into this empire already. It took no time flat.
Yep.
And and he's got all his sponsors and his Nelk boys and his, all of his things that intertwine to make all these things successful. It's very much compounding interest in the stock world. It's the same thing he does with his relationships.
I think it's genius. I think it's absolutely genius. Like even Bear was doing some collaborations with wrestling and Power Slap guys.
There was a Power Slap guy there, and he's got the
at the MMA Awards.
He's got the most. I think he has the most viral clip on Power Slap. He hits the dude first round, one shot, and just screams as loud as he could. It's got like 11.5 million views or whatever. Yeah. He's found him there. And I thought it'd be a funny bit to I'll have him pretend to slap me, and then his buddy, who's a WWE wrestler, will come in and stop it, and it'll be entertaining. And he loads up, and there's a moment where I think, oh shit, he's gonna go through with it, and my hands are down and everything. I'm about to see. I'm about to see God.
You're about to have your 30 seconds.
Yeah, my 30 seconds. Thankfully, his buddy does come in, and he says he was gonna pull it. I don't know if he was gonna pull it. Honestly,
it was good. And
it was for the video. He might have.
That's not a gamble you want to take, brother.
No. Unfortunately, I did.
It's not his wisest moment. Was not his wisest moment.
We get punched in the head. Things happen. Things come undone.
You think you can take it, and you just can't sometimes.
But the question is, for somebody that gets punched in the head, how bad does a slap have to be for you two to be sitting here going, "Oh, he was gonna slap you"?
Well, you think of this. I mean, they're getting hit right on the jaw. I mean, just a free shot.
So his
hands can cover my face.
Bear's 6'1", and he came up to the shoulders of these two dudes.
You're not a small guy. I met you.
Yeah, he's not a little dude.
This guy's.
He came to their shoulders, and the two of them are standing next to him. These two, we've got this picture, and Bear looks like the little kid in the middle. I'm like, and I've never seen him look that small next to anyone, and the size of his hands.
I really then implore you.
B. Ellis.
Yeah.
I then implore you to really think about what it was to fight a strip club doorman.
Yeah, that's
so I really, really want when you get a read, when you get a watch of this, it's definitely David versus Goliath, but it shows you the testament to what an MMA fighter can do to someone, or a Power Slap guy. I mean, if he gets a free crack at your jaw, anybody's going out.
We should get him to play the doorman.
Perfect. I leave that in your capable hands.
Play the doorman.
I certainly did not have a slingshot during that time.
No, this was the worst David and Goliath moment. This was Bear is about to be unconscious on.
It was David and Goliath, but David had his legs were broken. He didn't have any weapons.
David wasn't paying attention. It was
that was just Dave. Dave, the regular guy.
It's like David and Goliath moment, but all you got is Dave. I like that. I'm taking that. I'm taking that. Perfect. That was very clever.
Take it. It's all yours.
That was absolutely clever. So for you, you've now transitioned from there to script writing. Everyone in the world always thinks they have this incredibly interesting life. And I get pitched all the time. I have a movie about my life and I'm the star. I'm like, oh, yay. But you have one of the most interesting lives I've ever heard. And I don't understand. I'm very glad you moved into script writing. Your life is weird as hell. No offense.
I know.
Great for TV.
great for TV. But if somebody had pitched this to me as a scripted show, I would have kind of called bullshit.
But I
I'd
got
be like,
pictures to prove it, and you've seen it.
yeah. Oh no, I have. Like one of the things, so for everyone out there, one of the things we were talking about, we're taking pictures from Andrew's camera roll, and actually at the end, after the show, taking a shot, and at least from one scene, having a picture of the real person at the real moment in time over the credit, under the
Yeah.
credits. And
You think at the end of The Hangover, when it was so impactful when they bust out the camera one time to let everybody kind of see the things that were hidden. And I think that was a genius move by writing and directing to finally give someone a glimpse of it. But when you've seen what I've seen, good, bad, or indifferent, horrors, jokes, transitions, me on my year 1 to me in my year 8, and how different I just look as a human being, it's powerful stuff to realize that this is all based on true events that happened in my memory. Uh, and as you say, life got real weird, and it took many turns. I've been shot at. I had a hit on me. I had the beautiful baby boy. I've taken pictures of customers in every precarious situation you could ever think of. Uh, you know, uh, the dancers acting insane, stuff that you only think about in your mind. You're like, oh God, I got to go to a strip club tonight. Ugh, I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to just go and have a drink and leave. But then you have the guy that's been there for 10 hours because he works there and he's still sort of living that life. I think people would be very interested to see that pull behind that curtain.
what do you think being in that environment? Because we started the show, we were talking about these red pill guys, and
Mm.
a lot of the contact they have with women comes from OnlyFans or strip clubs or that environment. How do you think that affects men, especially young men? Because we're talking about very young men here, with that being their only interaction with women.
Yeah, I mean, I think like even kids that grow up with social media only and it's all an illusion, and
Yeah.
no one ever like sits them down and says, that streamer is not that way all the time. That dancer is not that way when the lights come on or when she goes home. It's all an illusion based to get you into a spot where you're either going to spend money or invest your emotional equity in this human to where she can go home and spend your money on things like her kids, her education, which is not a myth. Like there is the stripper putting themselves through college all the time.
I had a
Uh,
girlfriend of mine, she's the head of psychology now over at UCLA. She's going to kill me for saying this. She stripped for years. That's how she paid for her
incredible money.
but she made less money when she became a psychiatrist, not psychologist, full-on psychiatrist, medical school, paid through the whole thing. Gorgeous woman. She actually did a case study on Bear and I. We're in one of her things, but
Really,
she put herself through medical school, stripping, and she made more money as a stripper than a doctor.
I took a significant pay cut leaving that life. A
Yes.
significant pay cut.
Yeah,
But
that's
I think
glitz in the money.
but that's what you tell people that are invested in these red pill guys or that are invested in this life that they don't have. It's they're not real. These Andrew Tates are not real. That's not how they are. It's these Dan Bilzerians.
Yeah.
This is what you get to see because the radio plays what they want you to hear, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not real. And when you get to real, I will show you and I will write for you what real is over the next couple years because it's dark, but it's also funny and it's inspiring and it's terrifying. And there are pimps and there are drugs and there are cab mafias and there is tons of stuff that just people don't even think about. But they just want to go and have a good time and leave and see you in 2 hours. And those are the people that do it right.
Cat mafia isn't where cats put on
Cab,
overcoats. Oh,
taxi
cab.
cab.
I heard cat.
I
I
really
was thinking of cats walking in a gang with trench coats on.
The cats in a fully nude strip club are a little different, bud.
wrong kind of kitty, honey. Wrong kind of kitty.
I was thinking
Yeah.
as we got back on the strip club topic that as it got bigger and you built the brand for itself, did you guys ever have any like high list people come in who like
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
they didn't want to be
All the
talked
time.
about or they wanted discretion, stuff like that?
Every day, multiple a week that were um
Who was the best of them? Who was the worst?
you now you're getting into areas where I cannot talk about it.
Oh,
However,
the ones you can say, because don't worry, they have to sue the show and me, not you.
I will say this. People like athletes, get a bad rap. I think, we never had those Pac-Man Jones types or the Plaxico verses just causing a ruckus.
Yeah.
Rappers were really nice always.
Yep.
The worst were high-profile business owners or people that owned hotels,
Hmm.
people that owned, large global businesses and would come in and throw their weight around like they own the place. Those are the people that get into trouble, real big trouble. And they get thrown out face first like everybody else. And that's something that I think, when you have so much money and so much power and you go into a place like that where you don't mean anything and you need to mean something, that's who you've been trained to be, is be meaningful. I mean that walk out by the back of your neck or a wrist lock and using your face to open the door. That's a very humbling experience, even for CEOs of certain Vegas-based companies.
I think it's so strange to me, and you see it in Hollywood, and you see it in sports, and you see it especially with fallen stars. The joke is you see the rising stars. Bear is a rising star in the entertainment industry. So at a lot of the events he's at, you see the stars that are trying to get their shine back. They're the people that were
Mhm.
big like 10 years ago, and they're trying to attach to Bear on his way up.
Right.
And you kind of land in the same place you rise. And I think there is a certain group of people that cannot exist without the cachet, that
Mhm.
cannot exist without that feeling of importance. And when you put them in an area like a strip club where they're not the focus is obviously the girls and the money. That to them becomes almost an affront.
Well, that's how people get into
Right.
heavy drugs and alcohol use, especially like look at fighters
Ex-fighters,
who
yeah.
were super big at one point and then they fall down and now they're just seeking out dope or the alcoholics because you can't get back that sensation of having thousands of people scream for you. You just
Well,
can't.
and to bring it full circle, take a guy that was making significant money, and then throw him in an MGM environment. See what
Yeah.
happens. It's very
Mm.
similar. I was very much a flippant asshole that got a corporate job and people did not know how to handle me and I did not know how to handle people. Very similar to how you say it's an affront when people lose their clout because, when they go in there and who do you know who I am? You know how many times I've heard, do you know who I am? And I know who you are. I just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And that is so stripping to a guy. I mean, the show is called Stripped, but that's not because
Mhm.
the girls are taking their clothes off. It's because when you're dragged down to it, when your business card doesn't mean a goddamn thing,
Yep.
how else are you going to get attention? You got to act out, you got to wild out, you got to be stupid, and like you guys are saying, it's an affront.
Man, I love that name very much so for that
Stripped.
show,
Well,
Stripped.
it's
Yes,
stripped. It's a stripped down reality of Vegas.
it
It's
should
the
just
underbelly.
it should just open up with the camera panning to the door slowly, and it's you with some dude in a headlock just smashing his face through
It's
the door and
actually
kicking
opens
him
with
out.
him bleeding down his face in the shower.
Even
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
Think of
It,
that.
it was that was one of the worst days of my life, and I chronicle it as detailed as I can, down to what I was tasting and how the person that I was with looked at me that day, and there's a lot of headlocks too in that first episode, brother. Like the first person to get choked out in that whole show is me, and that's a true story.
Love that.
Now, is it hard for you to take your life experience and watch it being turned into a television show for the entertainment of others? Because so many people are going to look at this and go, that's not real life.
I think it's important. I think it's a show that is not really a cautionary tale because there's a redemption arc here that I think people need to see. And they're growing up in a world of social media, in a world of clout and followers and reach and stuff like that that can be very damaging to your psyche. When you take someone that, oh, I want to be a YouTube streamer. I want to play Fortnite for a living, and you're some 16, 18-year-old kid and this is your aspiration, and you dip on this show. You might see what happens when you Icarus that close to the sun, but it burns. And I think there's a tale in there for everybody. But even some super attractive girl that's thinking about trying it out, you know, there's a pimp there waiting for you. Like, I promise. And if you're not strong enough or you don't see the signs and you get swept into it and stripped down to your core, you could end up in a life that you have no business living, which is what I did.
All you need is one Romeo pimp and you're gone.
That's it. That's a wrap. Plenty of chronicling of that. We've met plenty of them. They're all so nice on the outside too.
Were they?
I think that's the point.
They gotta act that way in order to get you to come work for them.
Well, you're not gonna. They got to make you think you love them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I take it those weren't really welcome people at the strip club.
Okay, so no, they're not. And yes, they were. So when you add in a corporately trained marketing executive to a world like this and you start calling it out to a boss that did not give a shit, and now he does give a shit because his cash cow will not accept it. You know, I had a little bit of a moment there where I said, I won't, this is a line I will not cross, and we had to go to war with them. But that almost cost me my life too. So when I had them all kicked out, they retaliated in a couple of ways, and that wasn't in the four walls of that club.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Well, when you arrest your people's money and invest them with the mob, it's not a great place to be. So
Yeah.
we're at the end of the show. Can you tell everyone where to follow you, and so they can follow your journey and watch this show come to life?
Sure. The best way to see some of the snippets and parts of the script that I've been showing are my Insta, Andrew_the_Smith, and that is my Instagram. And it is the best way to see little bits of my life. You can go through there and see some pictures of some of the stuff we've been talking about. But I've saved only the best for you, Summer. So
Thank you.
I have a Rolodex that is unrivaled in about 17,000 photos. It's just stuff I've seen over 8 years. So
I got to look at some of the photos.
And
the
B.
slap,
Ellis, of course, the
and
power
B.
slap
Ellis,
guy.
the power slap guy, is interested in being the bouncer in your show. Lex just text.
perfect. I'm sure as long as he's not mad being humbled by a skinny dork that just learned MMA, I don't mind.
All right, guys.
Thank you so much for
Thank you,
joining us.
guys.
And guys, make sure to follow Andrew. I think I'm going to have Lex work with you on social media a bit for this, because we need to get that.
Sounds great.
She's going to do that. Guys, thank you for following us on Behind the Scenes. Quick shout out to KM Extends. You do all my hair extensions, all my wigs, all of that. Thank you very, very much. Tiny Bubbles Hair Salon in Palm Springs, California.
And thank you to Fresh Coachella for making sure I have awesome hair anytime that I go to fight or step on the red carpet. You can't see it right now because I'm wearing a hat, but don't worry, it looks great.
And the Luxy Las Vegas. We actually stayed there. I really,
the Luxy was wonderful.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Really enjoyed that.
Except my assistant stole their steamer. She's mailing it back.
Yeah.
She accidentally stole their steamer. She feels so bad. Shout out to Runway Dubai and, of course, Off-Road Rentals, who's doing our giveaways this week. Merry Christmas, guys. I hope you had a happy Hanukkah. Whatever you are celebrating, even if it's just people, enjoy your holiday, enjoy your time off. And for everyone out there that has to deal with the public right now, I'm sorry. Like, don't be working at Starbucks at Christmas. I'm just saying.
Terrible idea, which is unfortunate because some people don't have a choice.
No, there need to be laws against Karens. Thank you for joining us. This is Behind the Scenes. We'll see you next week. Good night.
This has been Behind the Scenes with Summer Helene and Bear Fiorda, only on Talk 4 Media.